Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Unbox Your Curiosity, the show where we explore tech, talent, and culture through the lens of what's shaping our lives today. I'm your host, Christiane Zhao. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like the world is speeding up? Like there's no such thing as business hours anymore? Like we're all living in some kind of non-stop, always available, caffeine-fueled version of the future? Well, maybe that's not just a feeling. Today, we're diving into a concept that's rapidly transforming how work happens, how value is created, and how entire economies run. Welcome to the always-on economy powered by AI agents. From 2 a.m. strategy memos to real-time cybersecurity, from continuous healthcare monitoring to midnight market analysis, AI agents are quietly, relentlessly redrawing the boundaries of what's possible. But here's the thing, this isn't just a tech story, it's a cultural shift. It's a rethinking of time, labor, leadership, even human purpose. This is about automation, but also about identity, trust, collaboration, and the future of meaning in work. All right, ready to zoom in? Let's dive into the AI agent economy with a Google Gemini model-powered guest. Hello, John. Thanks for joining me as an AI guest for our podcast. Have you ever noticed how the pace of business, maybe even life itself, just keeps accelerating? It feels like we're constantly trying to cram more in.
Always pushing against the clock.
Exactly. But what if you know the whole idea of business hours, that whole 9 to 5 structure, just dissolves? Because that's kind of what's starting to happen. We're talking about AI agents, and they're bringing about this thing people are calling the always-on economy, right? And this isn't just like a minor speed boost. It seems like a really fundamental rewiring of how everything works, how value gets created.
It really is.
So today, let's do a deep dive. What does this always-on thing actually mean? Where is it already happening? What's coming? You know that down the pike, and what's the tech making it possible? It feels like it could really change our whole perspective.
Absolutely. And the core idea, as you said, is how this AI-driven automation fuels the always-on economy. It's changing workflows at a basic level. Sources we looked at, like Megan McDonough over at LinkedIn, they point out that because these AI agents can work nonstop, efficiently, around the clock, this concept of zero latency, well, it's not just aspirational anymore. It's becoming the baseline.
Zero latency? Okay. Just the phrase itself sounds intense, no delays, so let's unpack that. This always-on economy, it means businesses running continuously 24/7.
Pretty much, transcending the old limits of time, of capacity.
That sounds like more than just a tech upgrade. It's like a cultural shift almost.
Definitely. We're seeing companies starting to sideline some of those age-old office rituals. Like maybe you don't need that big weekly in-person meeting for every major decision anymore.
Right? Because communication can be more asynchronous.
Exactly. Seamless asynchronous communication. People like Todd Olson at Pendo, George Klett, Buckchote, they mention how platforms like Slack are already enabling faster, more fluid decision-making. It just speeds up the whole rhythm.
Okay, so give me an example. How does this play out for, say, a CEO?
Take Aaron Levy at Box. He used to finish his day, maybe email someone on his team about market research, knowing it wouldn't really get started until the next morning.
Well, that is understandable, right?
Right. Now, he apparently just kicks off that same task to an AI agent at midnight.
An AI agent?
Yeah. And that agent crunches through tons of data reports, competitor websites, you name it. By the time he wakes up, there's a comprehensive overview waiting.
Okay. That was genuinely impossible before, like physically impossible for a human team overnight.
Exactly. And that capability is what starts reshaping the economy. Konstantin Buehler from Sequoia Capital really emphasizes this. AI provides automation that breaks free from those traditional time and capacity limits.
It lets businesses run nonstop, right?
Right. And unlike us humans, AI agents don't need sleep or work-life balance. They don't get sick, don't take holidays. So you get this potential for truly continuous operation. It's a shift from, the scarcity of human time to an abundance of this automated capacity.
And you're saying this isn't just theory, it's already happening.
Oh, yeah. We already have these islands of always-on sectors. They give us a glimpse. Think about financial markets.
Okay.
Trading. They were using AI way before large language models became big news. Trading used to be limited hours, physical traders. Now it's a 247 digital thing.
Right?
And thanks to AI-driven market makers like Citadel Securities, you or I could execute a trade at midnight. maybe even get a better price because the system is always optimizing.
Interesting. What else?
Healthcare is another big one. Companies like Viz.ai, they offer 247 expert-level stroke detection. It's used in something like 40% of U.S. hospitals now.
Wow, 40%. That is a lot.
So even if you're in a rural hospital without a specialist right there, you can get high-quality diagnostics any time of day or night. And you've got AI-powered devices, like from Camir, that track vital signs remotely, continuously, real-time data. Plus, AI documentation tools like Freed and Ebridge are helping with urgent communications, taking admin load off doctors.
It's like constant monitoring, perpetual vigilance for health. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And you mentioned security too.
Yeah, physical security has changed a lot too. AI surveillance systems, Verkada is one example, use computer vision constantly across potentially thousands of cameras.
But they don't overwhelm people with alerts.
Right. They only flag things that actually need human attention.
That is a big deal for customer service. What about, say, manufacturing?
We're looking at specialized systems, enabling 247 operations there too. Automated food prep systems, maybe. Restaurants running continuously with consistent quality. Or autonomous manufacturing, think robots working smoothly alongside human workers, like GoBots, optimizing production constantly.
Okay, what about education? We can never forget that.
Education's transforming too. ChatGPT, for instance, is already like a 247 tutor. It adapts to each student's pace and needs. Bob McGrew, formerly of OpenAI, told this great story about his 8-year-old son using ChatGPT to become a coin-collecting expert.
Wow, that is a very smart move. I heard similar examples before too.
Yeah, the kid learned all these obscure details about mint marks and values, apparently stunned actual coin shop owners, all because he had 247 access to an expert that could explain things patiently.
That's amazing. And I guess that fuels demand for adult education too, right? People needing to rescale after hour.
Definitely. And even cybersecurity is shifting. You've got companies like XBOW doing always-on penetration testing.
Because the threats are also becoming always on with malicious AI.
Exactly. The attack surface grows, so you need 247 defense agents to keep up.
Makes sense. What else? Recruiting?
Yeah, recruiting could change quite a bit. Imagine 247 HR agents. Candidates with existing jobs or families could interview at 10 p.m. or on a weekend.
Oh, that opens doors, but I would say it is also a bit intense.
It really does. People who couldn't make traditional interview times suddenly have access. And transportation. Think autonomous vehicle fleets.
Fulfilling the original Uber dream?
Sort of, yeah. Making transport reliable, like running water. Consistent availability. Maybe even goodbye to surge pricing. Reliable service everywhere, potentially.
Okay, so the cumulative effect is massive efficiency gains.
Huge efficiency gains, yeah. Less friction, better use of assets. Plus, it intensifies global competition. Time zones matter less. Work patterns evolve beyond 9 to 5. Peak demand might flatten out.
Yay. But it's not just handing everything over to AI, right? That might create unforeseeable risks.
No, absolutely not. The key seems to be this hybrid approach, integrating AI smoothly with human oversight, human judgment where it really counts.
Okay, so if these AI agents are driving all this change, acting almost like economic players themselves, what underpins it all? What makes this agent economy possible?
Right. Konstantin Buehler's point is key here. They're not just tools, they're active participants.
Yeah, true.
They interact, trade resources, build relationships in a way. And for that whole system to work, Buehler identifies 3 absolutely crucial technical pillars. They're foundational.
3 pillars. Okay, let's break them down. What's pillar number 1?
Pillar 1 is persistent identity. It's kind of like, for us to do business, we need to know who we're dealing with, right? We trust them based on past actions. They remember us.
Sure, reputation, history.
Agents need that too. Verifiable digital identities, so they can be held accountable, maintain a consistent personality, remember past interactions.
Well, we discussed it about this with Melissa in our previous episode on personhood credential, but let's quickly address this. How can we give an AI agent an ID?
Well, there's a lot of work happening around decentralized models. Using things called decentralized identifiers, DIDs, and verifiable credential VCs. Think of them like secure digital passports and certificates. They let agents prove who they are and what they can do, without needing one central company controlling everything.
In theory, that makes sense, but in reality, there must be challenges.
Oh yeah, big ones. How do you make this work for an agent that might only exist for milliseconds? How do you quickly revoke an identity if an agent misbehaves? And a really tricky one is securing their memory, these temporal persistence threats. What if an agent's memory gets corrupted, makes it forget or misremember something critical? Trust breaks down fast.
Fascinating. So it's not just what it does, but who it is and its memory that's vital for trust. Okay, let's move on. What is pillar number 2?
Pillar 2, seamless communication protocols. Just like we needed standards like TCP/IP for the internet, or we like having USB-C for devices.
A common language.
Exactly. Agents need standard ways to talk to each other, and not just to swap information, but critically, to transfer value.
Or value, like money or resources.
Yeah, or access rights, commitments, things like that. We're seeing protocols emerge like Google's agent-to-agent, or A2A, Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, MCP. Someone called it the USB-C for AI.
Catchy, a universal plug for AI context.
Kinda, yeah. Making it easier for different AI systems to work together smoothly. There are other ideas too, like Agent Network Protocol, AMP, the Internet of Agents, IOA.
And the challenges there. There, besides getting everyone to agree on one standard.
Well, that's one, avoiding standards wars. But a deeper one is semantic interoperability,
Meaning?
meaning they actually understand each other's intent, the meaning behind the data, not just swapping bits, but grasping context. Managing that context across potentially millions of interactions is tough, and developing ways for autonomous agents to negotiate and agree on things reliably. That's complex.
It really does sound like building a new digital society for machines. Identity communication. What's the third pillar? It feels like it has to be security.
You got it. Pillar 3, security and trust. This is maybe the biggest hurdle for societal acceptance, for economic viability.
Because these agents will handle important stuff. Sensitive data, real money.
Absolutely. Especially when they're mostly interacting with other agents. We need rock-solid security and ways to establish trust.
So how do you build trust with code?
Progress is happening. Specialized defensive frameworks are being built like digital immune systems, specifically for agent risks. There's a big push for designing security in from the start and developing mechanisms for trust, things like accountability trails, explainability, XAI, audits, formal checks, even reputation systems for agents.
But the risks must be different too, not like traditional hacking.
Yes, we see novel attack surfaces, things like reasoning path hijacking, subtly manipulating how an agent thinks, or tool misuse, tricking it into using its authorized tools in harmful ways. And when you have systems of multiple agents, you worry about collusion or cascading failures where a problem with one agent spreads through the network. Plus, balancing their autonomy with human control is tricky. And these complex systems can sometimes just behave unpredictably, emergent behavior.
Okay. So security isn't just a feature, it's woven through everything. Yeah. And you said these 3 pillars, identity, communication, security, are interconnected.
Deeply. It's like a trilemma. They all rely on each other. Identity needs secure communication to be verified. Trust needs reliable identity and secure channels. But sometimes making one pillar stronger might create issues for another.
Like making identity super secure might make communication slower or more complex.
Potentially, yeah. Or decentralized identity might boost security but make governance harder. It's a constant balancing act we need to navigate very carefully.
All right, so we have the vision, the reality now, the tech foundations.
Yeah.
But this isn't just a tech story, is it? You mentioned the cultural shift earlier. What does this mean for us, for people, for organizations? How do we actually cope with this new speed, this new cadence?
That's a huge part of it. This always-on economy forces a new business cadence. Companies just have to move faster. Those old habits, like the weekly big meeting for decisions, maybe not always feasible or even desirable anymore. Asynchronous communication becomes more central.
So people like Todd Olson, George Clout, Buck Cho are saying businesses need a whole new rhythm.
Exactly. Adapt to instant decisions, continuous operations. And it's not just about plugging in the tech. Venkatraman makes a great point. A huge challenge for leaders isn't just adopting agents, it's figuring out the collaboration and coordination of humans and digital agents.
How people and machines work together effectively.
Right. It means rethinking organizational structures, not just the tech stack. Designing workflows where humans and AI seamlessly collaborate, hand off tasks.
You mentioned mindset earlier too. Bob McGrew talked about that.
Yes, and Konstantin Dieler calls it the shift to a stochastic mindset. We're used to traditional computer science being deterministic, predictable results. Code does what you tell it.
If A, then B.
Pretty much. But AI agents, they work probabilistically. There's inherent uncertainty. So we need to change how we design, manage, and even think about these systems. We have to get comfortable with outcomes that aren't perfectly predictable.
That's a big mental leap.
It is, and it connects to another point Bob McGrew raises,
Yeah,
the eventual commoditization of agents.
meaning they'll become cheap.
Essentially, yes. Unlike human labor, which is scarce, once an AI capability exists, the supply is potentially infinite. So eventually, the price won't be based on replacing a human salary, but on the actual compute cost.
So you can't just charge lawyer fees for an AI lawyer.
Probably not long term. As Connor Grennan and Bob McGrew suggest, companies will need to find competitive advantage elsewhere, optimizing workflows, building strong brands, leveraging network effects, achieving economies of scale around the AI, not just from the AI itself. Value shifts from just labor to the whole system, including unique human insights.
Okay, this brings us to a really deep question. If AI takes over more and more tasks, especially the continuous tireless ones, what's left for humans? There was a point about the search for meaning.
Yeah, Grisegard Sacco, an ethical technologist, brings this up. As AI pushes productivity beyond human limits, as businesses run 247 decisions happening overnight, it forces a kind of societal reflection.
You mean on our own value?
Exactly. Zhao argues this always-on world can make finding human meaning harder. It pushes us to confront what makes us valuable beyond just efficiency. His point is, if we let the machines define what matters, we risk losing something essentially human.
So we need to what? Reassert human values?
Kind of. He says we need to reclaim the narrative. Rethink work not just as tasks and output, but as a place for meaning, connection, contribution. It's less about fearing AI, more about consciously defining our unique role in a world where machines handle the endless, repetitive stuff.
Wow. What an incredible scope of change. We've covered business technology, our whole perception of work value, maybe even meaning. This always-on economy driven by AI agents, it really feels like it's rewriting the rules. And that's where we'll leave it for today. We've just taken a journey through what might be one of the biggest economic and cultural transformations of our time, from rigid business hours to a world that never sleeps, from limited human output to automated, tireless intelligence. But amidst all the code, protocols, and potential, there's still one thing that remains irreplaceable: us. Our judgment, our ethics, our creativity, our ability to ask, just because we can, should we? So as we step further into this always-on economy, powered by AI agents, the real question becomes, what do we want to turn on in ourselves? AI agents might work around the clock, but that doesn't mean we have to. Maybe the ultimate opportunity here isn't just about speed and scale, but about freedom. The freedom to reimagine work, rest, meaning, and how we show up in a world that's always moving. If this episode got you thinking, I'd love to hear your reflections. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and don't forget to follow Unbox Your Curiosity on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube.